In the great wilderness of human society, you have different kinds of animals. You have the powerful alpha leading the pack, making the big calls. Everyone knows where they stand with an alpha. But then, you have another type, one that's just as capable but doesn't need the pack to feel strong. This is the Sigma male. Think of him as the lone wolf. He's not against the pack, not at all, but he doesn't rely on it for his survival or his identity. He operates outside the usual social structure, making his own rules and following his own path. He's comfortable in his own skin, whether he's deep in the jungle or on the edge of a bustling city. He carries his own world within him. The Sigma isn't trying to be difficult or rebellious for the sake of it. It's simply his nature. He observes, he learns, and he acts on his own terms. Where an alpha might climb a ladder to get to the top, the Sigma often just builds his own ladder or finds a completely different mountain to climb altogether. He doesn't need the validation of a group to know his own worth. He finds his strength from within, from his experiences, and from his own quiet confidence. This independence is his greatest tool, allowing him to adapt and thrive in situations where others might feel lost without their familiar social map. He is a survivor, not just in the wild, but in the complex world of people. You can spot a Sigma not by how loud he is, but by how comfortable he is with silence. He doesn't feel the need to fill every moment with noise or chatter. He's an observer, taking in the world around him with a keen eye. This is often mistaken for being shy or antisocial, but that's not the full picture. It's a strategic way of conserving energy and focusing on what truly matters to him. He's processing information, planning his next move, or simply enjoying the peace of the moment. He understands that true power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet, steady presence that commands the most respect and holds the most influence. So in simple terms, the Sigma male is the ultimate self-reliant individual. He's the explorer who charts his own course, the craftsman who builds his own legacy, and the wolf who can hunt alone or run with the pack when it suits his purpose. He doesn't reject society, but he engages with it on his own terms, never sacrificing his freedom for the comfort of the crowd. He is a master of his own environment, guided by an internal compass that always points toward authenticity and independence. He reminds us that there are many ways to be strong, and not all of them require standing at the front of the line. The Sigma archetype isn't some new trend, it's as old as the mountains themselves. Throughout history, you find these figures who shape the world not by commanding armies from the front, but by operating on the fringes, driven by their own vision. Think of the great inventors, the pioneers, and the explorers who ventured into the unknown. Nikola Tesla, for instance, was a brilliant mind who worked outside the established systems of his time. He wasn't interested in playing the corporate game like Edison. He was obsessed with his own groundbreaking ideas, often in isolation. His influence wasn't from a position of social power, but from the sheer force of his intellect and his unwavering dedication to his craft. These historical figures often acted as catalysts for massive change, even if they weren't leading a formal movement. Consider the mountain men of the American West. These were rugged individuals who left society behind to live a life of solitude and survival in the wild. They weren't trying to be leaders, but their knowledge of the land, their resilience, and their independence were legendary. They carved out paths and opened up new territories, not by decree but by their quiet, determined actions. Their influence was indirect but powerful, paving the way for others to follow. They showed that you don't need a title or a following to leave a lasting mark on the world. In modern times, this archetype continues to thrive. You see it in the tech entrepreneurs who build empires from their garages, driven by a singular vision rather than a desire for social status. Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, is a classic example. He was the technical genius, the quiet builder who was more passionate about creating elegant machines than being the face of a corporation. His focus was on the work itself, on solving the puzzle. This quiet dedication is a hallmark of the Sigma, who finds fulfillment in the process of creation and mastery, far from the roar of the crowd and the glare of the spotlight. The Sigma's power lies in this ability to influence from the outside. They are the strategists, the thinkers, and the innovators who don't need to be in the main tent to direct the circus. Their legacy is built on substance, not on social maneuvering. From ancient philosophers who questioned the status quo to modern-day artists who challenge our perceptions, the Sigma has always been a quiet force for progress. They prove that true strength isn't about being the loudest voice in the room, but about having a vision so compelling that the world eventually has to listen, even if it takes a while to catch on. When a Sigma male walks into a room, it's a different kind of presence than an alpha's. The alpha commands attention with outward confidence, a loud voice, and direct engagement. It's like a big stag stepping into a clearing. But the Sigma is more like a panther. He doesn't announce his arrival, he just is there. There's a quiet intensity about him, a self-contained energy that people notice without quite knowing why. He doesn't seek the center of the room. In fact, he often prefers the edges where he can observe, but from that vantage point he often has more influence than you'd think. People are drawn to his calm demeanor and his apparent lack of need for their approval. This quiet leadership style is surprisingly effective. Because a Sigma doesn't demand respect, he earns it through his actions, his knowledge, and his quiet competence. When he does speak, it's usually because he has something important and well thought out to say. His words carry weight because they are not wasted on idle chatter. In a survival situation, this is the person you'd listen to. Not the one shouting orders, but the one who has been quietly observing the environment, finding the water source, and figuring out the best place to build a shelter. His leadership is based on utility and wisdom, not on dominance. This presence is a form of passive dominance. It's the power of being completely self-sufficient. He doesn't need to compete in the social games that many people play, because he's running a different race entirely, his own. This detachment can be magnetic. People are intrigued by someone who seems to operate on a different frequency, someone who is content and whole on his own. They might seek his opinion or his help precisely because they sense he has no hidden agenda. His only motive is to solve the problem or achieve the goal, not to climb a social ladder. This makes him a trustworthy and valuable ally. Ultimately, the Sigma's influence comes from his authenticity. He is who he is, without apology. This consistency builds a foundation of trust. People know what they're getting. He's not trying to win a popularity contest, he's focused on his mission, whether that's navigating a treacherous landscape or building a successful business. This unwavering focus creates a gravitational pull. Others who value substance over style will naturally gravitate towards him, recognizing a kindred spirit. His leadership is not about being in charge, but about being a reliable anchor in a chaotic world. For a Sigma male, a large crowd or a noisy party can feel like being in a blizzard with no shelter. It's not about being afraid of people, it's about the sheer amount of sensory input. Every conversation, every interaction, every social cue is a piece of data. While some people thrive on this energy, for the Sigma, it's an overwhelming flood of information that needs to be processed. He is naturally an observer, and in a crowd there is too much to observe. This constant analysis drains his mental batteries much faster than a long trek through the mountains. He's built for deep focus, not for scattered, superficial engagement. Think of it like this. A Sigma's mind is like a high-performance engine. It's designed for endurance and power on a clear, open road. A crowded social event is like being stuck in city traffic, constant stopping, starting, and navigating dozens of other vehicles. It's inefficient and exhausting. He often has to put on a social mask, engaging in small talk that feels meaningless to him. This performance requires a huge amount of energy because it goes against his core nature of direct, purposeful communication. After a while, he feels a deep need to retreat to a quiet place to recharge, just as a climber needs to rest at a base camp. This need for solitude is a survival mechanism. It's not antisocial, it's pro-self. In the wild, conserving energy is key to survival. You don't waste it on unnecessary movements or stress. For the Sigma, socializing in a large group feels like an unnecessary expenditure of precious mental energy. He would rather invest that energy into a meaningful one-on-one conversation, working on a project he's passionate about, or simply being alone with his thoughts. It's in these quiet moments that he can process his experiences, generate new ideas, and reconnect with his inner compass. Without this time to decompress, he feels scattered and off balance. So when a Sigma leaves a party early or chooses to spend a Saturday night at home, it's not a rejection of others. It's an act of self-preservation. He understands his own limits and respects his need for a balanced environment. He knows that, to be effective in the world, to be the sharp, focused individual he is, he must first take care of his own inner wilderness. The silence and solitude are not an empty space to him. They are the fertile ground where his strength, creativity, and clarity grow. He is simply returning to his natural habitat to rest and prepare for the next challenge. There is a powerful, unspoken bond between the Sigma male and the natural world. For him, the wilderness is not a place to be conquered, but a place to connect and honestly just feel at home. The silence of a forest, the vastness of a desert, or the rhythmic crash of ocean waves provides a sense of peace that the man-made world rarely can. In nature, there are no social games, no hidden agendas, no small talk, just the raw, honest truth of survival and existence. This clarity is incredibly refreshing for a mind that's always, observing and analyzing the complexities of human society. It's a place where he can finally this love for nature often extends to animals. A Sigma can find a more genuine connection with a loyal dog or a wild creature than with a room full of strangers. Animals are authentic. They don't pretend to be something they're not. Their instincts are pure and their actions are direct. This really resonates deeply with the Sigma's own desire for authenticity. Walking with a dog through the woods or simply watching birds in the sky can be a form of meditation for him. It's a simple, honest interaction that recharges his spirit and reminds him of what's real in a world that can, honestly, feel pretty artificial. Quiet outdoor activities are his sanctuary. A long hike through a mountain trail, a solo fishing trip at a remote lake, or a journey through a beautiful landscape is not just a hobby, it's a necessity. These adventures allow him to disconnect from the noise and reconnect with himself. The physical challenge of a long walk focuses his mind, while the beauty of the landscape feeds his soul. It's in these moments of solitude, surrounded by the elements, that he does his best thinking. The world's problems seem to shrink, and his own path becomes clearer. Nature provides the perspective he needs. This connection is fundamental to his being. It's a return to the source. The modern world, with its constant demands and distractions, can pull a man away from his core instincts. The Sigma instinctively knows that to stay grounded, he must regularly touch base with the wild. Whether it's a vast national park or just a small patch of green in a city, he seeks out these places to recalibrate his internal compass. For him, nature isn't an escape from life, it's where he finds the strength and clarity to live life more fully on his own resolute terms. A Sigma male is, a natural builder, but his focus is rarely on just accumulating wealth for its own sake. He's driven by this deeper need to create something of value, to build a legacy that really reflects his skills and his vision. This often leads him to entrepreneurship or highly specialized fields where he can have autonomy. He wants to build a business not to be the boss of others, but to be the master of his own work. He thrives when he can control the entire process, from the initial idea to the final product. His work is honestly an extension of himself, and he takes immense pride in its quality and integrity. This drive for building, it extends to his own personal growth. The Sigma is always on a constant quest for self-improvement. He sees himself as a work in progress, always looking for new skills to master and new knowledge to acquire. This is where his love for fitness often comes in. The gym or the trail for him isn't just about looking good, it's like a laboratory for discipline, resilience, and mental toughness. Pushing his physical limits teaches him how to push through challenges in other areas of his life. Each workout is a small victory, a testament to his ability to commit to a goal and see it through day after day. Independence is, without a doubt, the cornerstone of his existence. He works hard to build a life where he doesn't have to depend on anyone else for his security or his happiness. This isn't about distrusting others, it's about taking full responsibility for his own life. He wants the freedom to make his own choices, to live where he wants, and to work on projects that he finds meaningful. This financial and emotional independence is his ultimate prize. It's the freedom to walk away from any situation, a job, a place, a relationship, that doesn't align with his core values. This freedom for him is totally non-negotiable. His time alone is not empty, it is productive. This is when he strategizes, learns, and creates. He might spend his evenings reading books on philosophy or business, learning a new language, or planning his next big venture. Solitude is his think tank, his training ground, and his workshop. It's where he sharpens his tools and refines his plans. While others might see a man spending time alone and assume he is lonely, the Sigma is actually hard at work, building the foundations of his empire. Whether that empire is a multi-million-dollar company or simply a life lived with profound purpose and freedom. One of the most defining traits of the Sigma male is, honestly, his comfort with his own company. He doesn't fear being alone. In fact, he often cherishes it. This solitude is not a sign of loneliness, but a mark of self-sufficiency. He's cultivated a rich inner world and has passions and projects that keep him engaged and fulfilled. He doesn't need a relationship to feel complete or to validate his worth. He understands that true strength comes from being whole on his own first. This makes him, well, incredibly resilient. He can navigate life's challenges with a steady hand because his happiness isn't dependent on an external person. However, this comfort with solitude doesn't mean he is incapable of deep and meaningful relationships. When a Sigma chooses to be with someone, it is a conscious and deliberate choice, not a decision born out of neediness or fear of being alone. He seeks a partner who is just as independent and whole as he is, a true equal who can walk beside him on the path, not someone he needs to rescue or who needs to complete him. He values intelligence, authenticity, and a shared sense of purpose far more than superficial qualities. He wants a partner in adventure, not just a companion. In a relationship, a Sigma male respects his partner's freedom and expects the same in return. He understands the importance of personal space and time for individual pursuits. He won't be the type to demand constant attention or togetherness. Instead, he believes that a strong relationship is like two healthy trees growing side by side. Their roots may intertwine, but they each need their own space to reach for the sun. This can be incredibly liberating for a partner who also values their independence. The relationship is built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect, not on codependency. Ultimately, the Sigma lives life on his own terms, whether he is single or in a partnership. A relationship for him must add value to his life. It must be a source of growth, inspiration, and genuine connection. If it becomes a source of drama or restricts his freedom, he's not afraid to walk away. This isn't cold or heartless. It's a deep commitment to his own well-being and authenticity. He knows that he can thrive on his own, so he will only choose to build a life with someone if it makes both of their lives better, creating a powerful alliance of two complete individuals. For the Sigma male, adventure isn't just a vacation or a weekend activity, it's honestly a fundamental part of his being. It's the call of the wild that echoes in his soul, urging him to explore, to test his limits, and to experience the world in its rawest form. This doesn't always mean climbing the highest peaks or navigating the most dangerous rivers, though it certainly can. Adventure can be found in traveling to a new country on his own, learning to navigate by the stars, or simply taking a different path home and discovering a hidden corner of his own city. It's about breaking routines and embracing the unknown. This love for adventure is deeply connected to his desire for freedom. A desk job with a predictable schedule can feel like a cage. He craves the feeling of being untethered, of not knowing exactly what's around the next bend. This is why, many Sigmas are drawn to lifestyles that allow for flexibility and travel, like being a freelance creative, a remote consultant, or an entrepreneur. He wants to build a life where he can pack a bag and go when the call to adventure becomes too loud to ignore. The world is his playground, and he wants the freedom to explore every corner of it. The challenges that come with adventure are not obstacles to be avoided. They are opportunities for growth. Getting lost in a foreign city and having to find your way back using a map and your wits, dealing with a sudden storm on a hiking trip, or communicating with someone when you don't speak the language. These are the experiences that make him feel alive. They sharpen his problem-solving skills, build his resilience, and strip away the non-essentials. In these moments, all that matters is the here and now, the challenge right in front of him. This intense focus is a state he thrives in. This adventurous spirit is what keeps him from becoming stagnant. He understands that comfort is the enemy of growth. By constantly seeking out new experiences and pushing his boundaries, he stays sharp, adaptable, and engaged with life. He is a lifelong learner, and the world is his greatest teacher. The lessons learned on a remote trail or in a bustling foreign market are just as valuable to him as those learned in a book or a classroom. For the Sigma, a life without adventure is a life half-lived. It's the wind in his sails, pushing him ever forward into new and uncharted territory. In the end, the Sigma male represents a powerful choice, the choice to live an authentic life, guided by an internal compass rather than external expectations. He is the quiet architect of his own world, a man who finds strength in solitude and purpose in creation. He walks the path less traveled not out of defiance but because it's the only path that feels true to his nature. He reminds us all that there is more than one way to be strong, to lead, and to make an impact on the world. You don't have to be the loudest voice to have something important to say. Embracing the Sigma spirit is really about cultivating self-reliance. It's about learning to be comfortable in your own skin and finding your own sources of validation. It means taking the time to understand yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, and what truly drives you. It's about building a life that aligns with your core values, even if it looks different from the lives of those around you. This journey requires courage, discipline, and a willingness to stand apart from the crowd when necessary. It's not the easiest path, but for those who walk it, it is the most rewarding. This archetype is more relevant today than ever before. In a world of constant noise, social pressure, and digital distractions, the Sigma's ability to disconnect, focus, and think for himself is honestly a superpower. He shows us the value of deep work, meaningful connections over superficial ones, and the profound peace that can be found in nature and in silence. He is a reminder that we all have a wild, independent spirit within us, just waiting to be acknowledged. We can all benefit from taking a step back, observing the world from the edges, and listening to our own inner voice. So whether you see yourself as a Sigma or simply admire these qualities, there are lessons to be learned from the lone wolf. It's about having the courage to forge your own trail, the discipline to build a life of purpose, and the wisdom to know when you need to retreat into the wilderness of your own solitude to recharge. It's about living a life of quiet confidence and unshakable authenticity. The world needs its alphas, but it also desperately needs its Sigmas, the quiet pioneers, the independent thinkers, and the lone wolves who show us what it truly means to be the master of your own destiny.